Welcome everyone for another Wednesday night, the fundamentals to gain inner peace with your host, Coach Menachem Bernfeld. And I think we have to remind ourselves what we're looking for. Sometimes we get caught up. Inner peace, like we discussed many times. Just to find some inner peace, it doesn't mean that you're a whole day relaxed and there's no ups and downs. Obviously there are, but at least there are some moments. We know what we're looking for. We know how to get there, whether it's deep breathing, affirmations, self-reflection, many things that we've learned in the past. And the recordings are available. coachmenachem@gmail.com. The recordings are menachembernfeld.com, top left. You can find the recordings over there. And I do welcome questions, feedback. You can send to coachmenachem@gmail.com. And thank you all for the feedback. It's always good to see what you pick up and to see what we need, how to continue. So we'll start with our sponsor tonight. OKClarity.com is the place to find therapists, coaches, nutritionists, where I'm there too. And the professionals are vetted and have extensive experience working with the Jewish community. If you're in the market for a therapist, coach, or the like, or if you're a wellness professional looking to get more online exposure, go check them out. OK Clarity also has an amazing WhatsApp status, thousands of followers. Their WhatsApp is a free way to improve your mental health, and they post great humor, so you'll get to laugh a little bit, which is healthy. If you have WhatsApp, the number is 917-426-1495. That's 917-426-1495. I'll put the links in the email. So if you get email, if you don't get emails, send me an email, coachmenachem@gmail.com, so you can get the emails, the follow-ups, and the reminders. So let's get started. Before we start, let's take a deep breath and get grounded. Both feet on the floor. Just become aware of where you are, physically, emotionally, what your day looked like, and the reason why you're here now, how you feel. Was your day stressful? A lot going on. Are you ready for Purim, or maybe not? So much to do. Sitting in traffic, or maybe not, depending where you are. Just to become aware, and then to go inside, to reflect on our body, to see what our body feels like. Stressful, any areas in our body that we can let go, shake it out, breathe into it, and just be here in the present moment. Here I am now. I give myself a few minutes to be, just to be, and to listen if you're here. Beautiful. And yes, we're doing it very fast, but to spend more time when you have on your own, some deep breathing, relaxation, find yourself, be there with yourself. So we've covered the last week. We've started discussing vulnerability, what it means, why it's so important, and what it looks like. We discussed the relationships with teacher and the students. Obviously, you can't just be vulnerable all the way. You have to do it in a smart way, but to open up so they can learn from our experience. They can learn from the adults, from the teacher. The student looks at the teacher, here's a story from a teacher, something that happened to the teacher, how they managed, whether they're tired or they're not feeling well. We're all human, and it's okay. Whether it's a teacher, students, parents, and the kids. Sometimes the parents is going through a hard time. The kid knows it. We try to hide it as if everything is okay, but If it's sometimes pretty obvious, so you can tell the child, you'll probably feel it too. I'm going through a hard time now. Whatever happens, you probably feel it too. Hopefully, we'll get through this together. So you talk about it. So they feel if you can talk about it, I can also talk about it. And then it's important that when they open up, not to shut them down. Very important. Sometimes we're not in the mood of listening. Sometimes we're stressed out and we don't have time. So if they open up, it's okay to tell them, I want to listen to you. Give me a few minutes. I'll be back. You have to come back, whether it's in 5 minutes or later, because that's how we nurture for the kids to be open, to be vulnerable, to be okay with what it is. And then we discussed at work. The question was, why is it so hard? But before we go there, just to see again, why is it so important? So what it is and why is it so important? So it's basically willing to acknowledge and accept that we have weaknesses. We're not perfect. We have limitations. And yes, we're imperfect. And it's okay, even though sometimes we feel uncomfortable with that. Basically, we're admitting that we're human. We are not robots. We are not malachim. No, we can't do everything. Other people maybe could do it, and I can't. We do compare a lot. You know, if everybody could do it, why can't I? But you have to be honest with yourself. Where am I? What could I do? What works for me? And hopefully you live with what works for you and less comparing, pleasing others, and then being able to say no when you have to. So it's a challenge to be vulnerable, to say it doesn't work for me, or to say, could you please help me? So it's being honest, accepting yourself. And it helps to develop a better understanding of your own needs, a person's own needs, what I could do, what I can't, my desires, my values. And it helps to create a sense of self-acceptance and self-worth. We've discussed it a lot in the past. That's one of the reasons why people don't realize they can't stop, can't relax, they can't take it easy. They always need to be on the rat race, always on the routine, keep them being busy. What's behind it is they don't accept themselves where they are with their imperfections, with the limitations. And we have to see how you feel about yourself. Self-worth. If you stop, how do you feel about yourself? I don't feel good. I only feel good when I'm productive, have to keep on going. So the question came up, why is it so hard? You know, somebody mentioned last week, it's hard for them to ask for help. So to think about it, it's basically saying, I can't. Can you please help me? The word I can't brings up all of those feelings. I can't? What do you mean I can't? I can do anything. And if I can't, I'm not going to admit it. So basically, we're walking around with a mask, pretending and saying we're okay. I'm always okay. And that's the difference between the okay that we came into these classes, and over here we discussed to be okay with yourself and be able to ask for help. So it's like, I'm okay, I don't need any help. I can do everything. I'm fine. Nothing bothers me. And you walk around like a robot. There's no ups and downs. Pretty much, I'm not human. That's closed. That's, for whatever reason, we'll see later, you decided, I cannot open up to anybody. I got to close up. I cannot be vulnerable. It's too painful. So I'm fine. I'm taking care of myself. I'm good. But that's really closed up in your box, locked up. Versus what we're looking for is, I'm okay, even though I can't do everything. I'm okay to ask for help. If I need your help, can you please help me? If somebody's not feeling well, they can't make suppers, and they have friends who are offering. Say, wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yes, it would be a help. Can you please do it for me? And they would love to do it, and it makes it easier for you. And look at that relationship. Automatically, it takes it to the next notch. I'm doing something for you. Beautiful. One day you do something for me. This is our relationship, whether it's friends, family. But if we pretend that we're made out of steel and we don't have ups and downs and everything is fine, basically what we're doing is we deny our humanity. We're denying our needs, we're denying our feelings. And no wonder why many people are on antidepressants, walking around. If only they can open up to somebody to talk about what's going on, what they really feel. How much would they be able to get off their chest? So it's not always easy to find that person. If you have a good friend and they understand, they can listen. They don't tell you, oh, why crying? What are you making a big deal out of it? That's a reason for somebody to close down, because that hurts. If you open up to somebody, tell them about what's bothering you, and they say, big deal, you're not going to do it again. And talk about younger kids. When they're younger, they try to open up, and the parents can't be there for them. Basically, when they're younger, they make that decision. It's not proper. It's not okay. Adults don't do that. You know what? I'm fine. So it's denying our humanity, basically. What are the feelings? What are those feelings that come up? So we mentioned last week, and soon we'll come up with some ideas that could help us slowly open up, even though we've decided a long time ago that is too painful. But the feelings usually are, basically, in one word, we need to be accepted. I need to feel accepted. If I walk into a room with people, I want them to accept me. You're talking to somebody, I want them to accept me. And the opposite is rejection. That is pretty painful. So what we do is we pretend that everything is fine, I'm good, so that you'll accept me. Because if I open up with my ups and downs, my insecurities, then the feedback might not be so understanding and you might get hurt. So basically, that's basic 2 words. Being vulnerable is being okay. And the truth is, you don't know what the feedback is going to be. So that's what we're going to discuss. Basically, you're putting yourself into a place of uncertainty. Even if you decide to go to a therapist, you're going to open up. You don't know how they're going to respond. You might not feel good with their response. And it's important to be open with them. But what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a place of uncertainty, putting yourself in a place of risk. You're exposing something that bothers you. From the outside, nobody knows. There's something going on inside. You want to discuss it with somebody. So you're exposing something. Those feelings can be very, very icky, uncomfortable, especially if you've been closed for many years. We don't want to go there, but that's what we need to do with a lot of courage. And another thing is today's days, our society, we look around, we see everybody is managing. We don't know what they're going through. We don't know if they meet a therapist or they speak to a friend or what they are not doing, or what self-care are they doing for themselves so that they can put up that show in front of other people. We don't know. But it looks like they're managing. And if they manage, I need to manage. That's it. And I'm going to push and push. And then maybe it's pills. Some people need to take pills because there's so much stress. We're not living our own life. So it's putting ourselves in that place of uncomfortable feelings. You don't know what the feedback is going to be, uncertainty, but to be able to eventually, slowly find the right person and open up slowly, maybe do it with somebody that you're comfortable with, and see where it goes. So 2 things I want to discuss tonight is, number 1, a few ideas of where we picked it up. Many picked it up when we were very young. So we'll discuss a few ideas about that, and what practical ideas, what we can do slowly to open up, to be okay with ourselves, even though we feel uncomfortable. And we do it slowly, very slowly, because you don't want to close up again. So here we go. There are many different situations that people went through. It could be trauma or different stories that we decided, we made up the idea that it's better for me to be closed, not to be open. And to pretend that I'm good, I'm fine. I'll try to take care of myself. I don't need other people. So one is a traumatic experience. So if somebody experiences trauma, it's hard to share with a different person those feelings. It could be very heavy feelings, heavy emotions, and we're scared. We might be judged or misunderstood. It's not easy to open up to somebody, and they should understand you. Question is also, what should we do if somebody opens up to us? Okay, that's the same important. We have to know how to respond to somebody, and we discussed it. Effective listening, being there, not trying to fix. Because if you're gonna right away go with the fixing solutions, do this, do that, he's not coming back. You missed the boat. All they want is for you to be there, to understand them. Finally, they opened up something they're going through, something they're feeling. Just to be there, say, "Wow, I just can't imagine how you're doing this. I just, if you need my help, I'm here. It's, must be very hard." That's it. And if we speak to somebody, we open up, and for some reason they come with the solutions, we could tell them, and that helps. It's also being vulnerable, saying, "The truth is, I don't want to hear any solutions now. Do me a favor. It's hard for me. I'm not in a place of solutions. Just listen. I want to share with you a feeling that I have." That's vulnerable. That's being strong. It's not so easy to do that. So we think that being closed and is strong, and being vulnerable is weak. It's the other way. If we can be vulnerable, that shows that we're strong. Slowly, we become stronger and stronger, more okay with myself, no matter what happens, even if I put myself in a situation where the response might be hurtful, and I can be open. I can open communication. So that's one idea. If somebody went through trauma, it doesn't have to be, physical. It could be even verbal abuse. Somebody could think about a teacher, parent, whatever they went through, something painful, especially if they didn't have somebody to share it when it happened. They closed it up, never shared, and now it's very hard to slowly open up and say, "This is how I feel, and I just want to talk about it." Another thing could happen is rejection. Anytime a person is criticized, rejected in the past, whether it's when you're younger, maybe even older, whatever it is, and it can happen over time. Maybe in the beginning you said, "Okay, that person, it's not gonna bother me. I'll continue being open with somebody else." But after a while, with maybe the same person or other people, if they criticize and you feel rejected, after a while you feel, "I can't really trust. They don't understand." Another idea is what we discussed, social norms. Some places, this feeling that you have, and you could stop and think, if that's how you feel, that being vulnerable is being weak. It could be at work also, especially at work. You come in the morning, you do your work, Again, doesn't mean you have to open up and sit around and cry about everything that's going on in your life. No, that's not vulnerability. That's not what we're looking for. It's if you need something, if you need help, you need to work something out, you can talk to your coworker. You can tell them this doesn't work for me. How can we do this different? Be open. But if we look around and we see, for some reason, everybody's managing, nobody's open. So that's another reason why we decide, you know what? I'll do the same. We want to be accepted. We want to be part of. We don't want to be different. So, or it could boil down to personal insecurities. It's a feeling that you might have about yourself. Again, we discussed it in the past, whether it's low self-esteem. You feel insecure about yourself. What are people thinking about me overall? So to show vulnerability, it might confirm our worst fears. If you're scared about all the thoughts that you have about yourself, you don't, if you, whatever it is, insecure about whatever it is, whatever comes up, you have that low self-esteem. If that's how you feel about yourself, then for sure you're going to close and pretend. Pretend as if you're fine, because if not, they're going to find out. They're going to find out. What are they going to find out? All those insecurities that I have about myself. So, it's something to work on eventually, that you're okay, right? To build yourself up, even if you're not perfect, so that when you do open up and they do find out, you're not denying it, you're not hiding. Certain things you could do, certain things you can't, like all of us. So those are four ideas of reasons why. And you can think about many different things that have happened. I like to share many times. It could be when you're very young. Little kids, they sit there, maybe share anything and everything, but eventually the reaction of the parents, sometimes it could be because they don't have time. So they just say, okay, I gotta go. Yeah. If they're sharing and you're running, after a while, they're not going to share. It might be too hard for them. So whatever it is, see the way you grew up, whether it's in school, write it down, become aware, because that's very important. Before we go to the ideas of what could we do, what are some small steps just to become aware? And if you have a hard time asking for help, write it down. You have a hard time expressing whatever it is to somebody, just become aware. That is step number one. Step number one is just becoming aware. And then we can go to step number two, see what can I do? What are the small steps that I can take that's going to help me slowly get out of my comfort zone, slowly get out of my box, even though it is uncomfortable. So what are some small steps? So here we go. Here are 5 small steps that you can do. Number 1 is self-reflection. You take some time to reflect on your past experience, like we mentioned, things that happened. If you come up with some ideas, it doesn't have to be big, just small ideas. A teacher, a parent, a friend, a situation, camp, school, whatever it is that you remember that made you feel insecure. Just become aware of it and write it down. So that's step number 1, become aware of those feelings, what happens. Number 2 is start with safe people. You want to open up. You want to sit down with somebody. So it has to be somebody that you have a relationship, that you're close to. Somebody that you could say, this is something I'm working on. To become a little bit vulnerable, to open up about my feelings. So it could be friends, close friends, family members. Some people, they don't have that. It could be a therapist. Go sit down and talk to someone and say, this is what I struggle with. I would love to talk about it. Can you help me? Number 3 is to use the I statement. Very important. Because if you're going to express emotions, and that's especially important with a spouse, depending on your relationship. Basically, instead of saying, you always make me feel this way. So what happens is you're pressing buttons from that person that you're talking to, and automatically they put up their guards and they start talking back, saying, what are you talking about? And again, they feel whatever they feel when you're sharing that way. So you want to be vulnerable. You could start saying, this is how I felt. So you're using the I statements. I feel hurt when you say that. So it's nothing, nothing about you. It's something that I feel. This is the way I feel. So if you could do me a favor, just change. If you can say that, wow, that is vulnerable. You never know what the response is going to be. You never know if they're going to accept it. But make sure you use the I statement. Say, this is how I feel. This is what I feel. Vulnerable about yourself, about how you feel when that happens. Number 4 is to practice active listening. Also something that we mentioned. When someone is vulnerable with you, so you practice active listening by being present. You're fully engaged in the conversation. You're listening to what they're saying. And you're building trust with them. It opens communication. If you can do that with them, then hopefully when they share, that's practicing, you'll know how to do it. And they will experience it. So that is very important also for younger kids. So if you're listening to them, right, so they can slowly realize how they feel when they share, and it's okay. So it goes both ways. You listen to them, and when you share, they listen to you. It is important not to overshare. Remember, they're not there to be there for you when you go through your situation. It's not like you're sitting down and you're talking to your 8-year-old, please listen to me. I'm going through whatever I'm going through. That's not healthy. But like we mentioned before, if it's a situation at home that's pretty obvious, you could say, this is how I feel, and I'm sure you feel it too. And you probably miss my presence. I'm not so available for whatever reason. And hopefully we'll get through this together. So they're like, you're sharing, they're listening, and it goes vice versa, both ways. And it's being okay with those ups and downs, with those ins and outs. Sometimes I feel good, sometimes I don't, and we can share again with that person that you're sharing. And number 5 is the most important over here. If you're gonna start, and this is important for any time you get out of your comfort zone, anytime you go into new territories, you have to celebrate your progress. If you did it once, it might feel very uncomfortable. And you might say, I don't want to do that again. But realize that exactly that what you felt, that is the reason why we don't want to be vulnerable. So become aware of what you tried, how you felt, and celebrate. Say, wow, I was strong and I pushed myself to take that little step. And in a few days, I'll try again. I won't give up. It's okay to feel those feelings. If you're not used to feeling those feelings because you've been shut down, you're not aware of those emotions, then when you try and it doesn't work, you're going to shut down right away again. You say, it's not working. But the important piece is that exactly what you felt means it's working. I know you don't want to go there. It's not comfortable to be vulnerable. But we're realizing why it's so important and to be able to do it, even though sometimes it doesn't work. We put ourselves in that place where we expose ourselves. It could be very uncomfortable, whatever those feelings come up. So that's the important piece. So when you're going to try, you're going to come up with those feelings, write down those feelings, become aware that that's exactly what we're running away from, and be okay with it. Say, I'm still okay. I'm fine. Nothing is wrong with me. Those feelings, yeah, I am feeling. But I don't like it. That's true. We don't like it. But we're not going to stop. We go on and we try and we work and slowly we get out of it. Slowly we work on it. So those are 5 different ideas to help us step out of our box, to get out of it. And the truth is, a lot of things that we discussed over here Wednesday night helps. You need a lot of self-compassion to be there for yourself when you do find yourself in that uncomfortable space. Vulnerable means walking out of your comfort zone. And when you step in there, it's really uncomfortable. But stay there, don't run away. Stay there, it's okay. With those small steps, you have to have self-compassion, being able to be there for yourself. The self-care that we discussed in the past. To understand that, yes, it's normal, take care of yourself, whatever you need. So that you can take those next steps. We don't want you to close down after trying once. You're basically going back. It's like the turtle looking out and then go right back into the shell. It's okay. Even if we say, okay, I can't do this, give me a few days. It's okay. I'll give you a few days. And then you try again. And slowly try it here, you try it there. And you see, I'm okay. It's fine. And you get to talk to somebody. The insecurities, you're vulnerable about yourself. You understand that I'm not perfect and no one is. We all go through our ups and downs and those feelings are normal. So those are a few steps that we can take. So that's it for tonight. I do want to take some questions. If you have, you can raise your hand. On Zoom, you can raise your hand. I'll take your questions, but take a moment and reflect. Purim is coming up. Take a deep breath. I want you to become aware of your feelings when you hear and think that Purim is coming up. Everybody has different feelings. You might be ready, or the opposite. You might be excited, or the opposite. There's no right or wrong. Whatever you feel, whatever comes up, just to become aware of it. Becoming aware, step number 1, awareness. And even if negative feelings come up, just become aware, breathe, relax, be there for yourself. So that's it for tonight. If you have any questions, you can raise your hands. And I wish everyone a Simchas Purim, no matter what comes up, no matter where you are, no matter how you feel, you're still okay. We are all human. We have ups and downs. Sometimes we're insecure, and that's okay. Okay, you can unmute TF if you have any question.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Good.
Okay, so it's more of an awareness. It sounds like a lot of what you're discussing is when I actually finished taking the Possible You course. And it's a big thing. I mean, I meet a lot of people around, and it's more of an awareness that I feel like a lot of people are out there just in a fake life, like just there just to prove themselves, just to say like you're saying, I'm perfect and there's nothing wrong with me. And you have to fit, into this certain box of like, I need my kids to have this specific coat. And if I don't have the money for it, they're going to squish into like 2 sizes too small until I could afford to get the bigger size. Like it's such a, like, if everyone just would realize where they are in life and like,
Beautiful.
what's important in life. Let's be emistic with yourself. Like,
right. But we have to be
who are you
aware.
doing it for? And just like let down your guard and like, it's okay. No one's judging you. You're busy thinking about others, and others are busy thinking about you.
Beautiful.
Judging.
And it sounds like I could hear in your voice that you took the Possible You, like you mentioned. But we have to be aware of why. Why do people do that? And we have to have a little bit of compassion. Meaning, you took the course, and I'm also a graduate, which I loved. It's an amazing course. and you become aware of all this, and then it's hard to walk around and you see everybody is faking. It's important to understand that there's a reason why people do it. There's a reason why we do it. And step number one, that awareness, is that we're still okay, even if we do it. You have to be able to understand, because people around you are going to have a hard time being next to you. You're going to say, just let down the guard, let down your guard. It's not going to work. They're not going to understand what you're talking about. So it's beautiful what you're sharing, 100%, that this is what we discuss here, but there's a lot of steps before that. A little bit of self-compassion when you find yourself in that situation. When you find yourself not being able to let down your guard, to be able to say, yes, it's okay, I understand. And when you find people out there who they can't let down, they need to please, and they need to show everybody that they're great and everything is fine, understand that there's a human behind it. It's very uncomfortable, like we're discussing, very hard for people to let go, right? So I just want you to hear that. So with all the knowledge that you picked up from the course, which is amazing, sit with it, start journaling, start becoming aware of how you work. It's part of your growth. And the most important piece is for the people around you, for you to have compassion for those people, to understand why they're doing it, and it's okay. Don't expect them to let down their guard so fast. That's number
100%.
one. Number two is
100%.
also with your kids. Very important. If you're going to go to your child and say, just tell me, let down your guard, don't, it could make it worse. Right? So what we need to learn is just to be there. Just to be there. Take a deep
Right.
breath.
No, also not to have such high expectations, and it's being okay with your child's negativities, possibly. It's not easy. But again,
Exactly.
it's not a reflection of you. It's not like I deal with children, and I see a lot of times there are parents that like don't want to get their children help because like, but why? And I'm like, because it's your child. We can only do our best with our child, but they're not perfect, and we don't expect them to be perfect, but we still could help them a little bit, like get better,
Right.
channel things.
Right. So what do you do? What do you tell those parents that they can't let go?
Nothing. I tell
Good.
them once or
Just
twice, and
making
I
sure.
if I see there's a wall, there's a wall. They have to be up
Beautiful.
for.
So
They have to be up.
so the work that we're doing is being able to be there for those people, for your child, for those people that you're just talking to. When they mention something that's hard for them, instead of telling them why, it's not a reflection, not your reflection, don't say that. Just be able to be there, say, wow, I hear. Yeah, must be very hard. That's it. And that's hard for us because we know that something is holding them back. So thank you very much for sharing. Beautiful. And Emet Hashem, I'll see everybody next week. You should all have a Freilichen Purim, no matter what comes up. And the good idea is to take a few minutes now and just visualize, imagine what your Purim is going to look like, whether it's going to be hectic or not, and just see it. See it now, so that when it does happen, when it comes up and you're there, it's not the first time you're there, you'll say, oh yeah, I knew this is going to happen. So you don't get, those buttons don't get pressed as much. And it's okay if you start feeling whatever you're feeling, become aware, take a few deep breaths. There's a lot going on. Again, everybody has their own experiences. Purim is a great time to see, out of ordinary, there's so much going on, to see what bothers me, what doesn't bother me, what I like, what I don't like. And just to become aware of that. Start journaling, write it down, and afterwards we'll discuss it. Enjoy, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday night. Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up. Have a good night and a great week.